Phillies finally got a vintage Bryce Harper performance last night in a comeback win over the Giants. An elite level performance, some might say.
You are Locked On Phillies, your daily Philadelphia Phillies podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, this is Locked On Phillies. I'm your host, Connor Thomas. Thank you so much for joining us today. And today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $250 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. Head to FanDuel.com to get started. We're going to do a quick check-in on the rookies later on in the episode. We're also going to look at an absolute heater that the Philadelphia Phillies bullpen is on. But in last night's 6-4 comeback win over the Giants, the main story was Bryce, Aaron, Max, Harper. He was unbelievable at the plate for the Philadelphia Phillies, and it feels like it's been forever since we've gotten a vintage Bryce Harper takeover performance. He was exceptional at the plate last night. 3 hits, 2 doubles, 3 RBIs, and that was a game. And it feels like, again, like it's been a long time since we've been able to watch a Phillies game, right? With the way the Dodgers series went and then the long off season and a slow start to the year for Harper, we've like sat down and been like, wow, he was the best player on the field. The Phillies do not win that game without him. He was the reason they won. Now, you look back and you go through the individual games from last season. There will be games like that you'll find. So it's not like it's been years, but it feels like it's been a while. And with all the noise surrounding Bryce Harper this offseason, the not elite stuff that we've talked about a billion times and everything leading up to the pressure of this season with the Phillies' expectations sky high once again and running it back another year with this core, it's really great to see Bryce Harper have that type of night. Now, does this prove, Bryce Harper was right to be mad at Dave Dombrowski for the not elite comment? It's like, no, it's still just one game in April. It was a nice comeback win for the Phillies. And outside of Bryce Harper, a lot of really good fight shown by the guys at the dish. There are other guys with big nights. We're going to talk about Justin Crawford, Alec Bohm with a big RBI hit. Brandon Marsh is still being very productive at the plate. So good stuff that you saw in general for the Phillies in a big night where they were able to tally a bunch of hits. It looked like they were going to get out-hit by the Giants in this one when you first looked at it. 11 hits for both sides. So some offense in this game, which was nice to see. But Bryce Harper coming through in big spots for this team, especially when it was the middle to late innings. A lot of people look at the Phillies and they're like, they're kind of a front-running team. If they get out on you early, they're pretty good at putting you away. But when they go down early, that's when they get tight. And even star players seem to not be at their best. Well, last night, Bryce Harper was at his absolute best. So to see his timing be in such a great spot that he nearly put a hole in the wall in right field out at Oracle Park. He hit some of the hardest balls I've seen him hit in a while last night. There were no cheapies. It wasn't like he was just, cueing one over the third baseman's head the opposite way. No, he was squaring up the baseball. One of his doubles was down the left field line. But you understand my point here. Do you remember when we had that conversation about Bryce Harper's exit velocity? Yeah, it turns out it was nothing to be worried about, just like we said it was. But there's more levels to this Bryce Harper performance too, because we saw something after the game from Bryce Harper that we haven't seen for a while. There's also been this growing narrative about Harper that he doesn't seem like he's having fun. And because of the game he had, of course, he had the opportunity to join Tom McCarthy and Ruben Amaro Jr. on the NBC Sports Philadelphia post-game interview on the TV side. And they were asking him a bunch of questions. And the last question was like Tom McCarthy was asking, hey, what does it say about the locker room, basically, that you're able to make this comeback and battle through being down 4-1? And Bryce Harper was like, yeah, we actually all hate each other. And then they all had a good laugh about it. And he talks about, no, we're having a blast and we're trying to get here and do what we got to do day in and day out, but it's a good group of guys. Like the typical stock answer. But the fact that you heard Bryce Harper joke around a little bit, smile, laugh with them, it could have very easily, I would not have been shocked for Bryce Harper's answer to be, yeah, well, we've been together as a team for a while and we have some veteran guys, and that's just what you got to do sometimes to win at the major league level. And that's it. No fun, no pomp and circumstance in it. That could have been a Bryce Harper answer. But instead, he lightened up. He showed some levity. And that's another thing that I love to see from Bryce Harper, because this is going to be a season that wears on a lot of people with the organization, in the fan base, in the media that covers this team. God knows I have days where it seems like the whole world is saying this team stinks. And sometimes you're right. Like, I'm not saying that the naysayers have no point, but for Bryce Harper, who is going to be the lightning rod of this Phillies season, to be able to have that performance, have a little bit of light banter with the boys back in the booth after the game, it was a great night for him. A wild stat that Tom McCarthy made in his final call of the game. That's the first time the Phillies have won game one of a series at Oracle Park out there in San Francisco since 2014. That was 2 years after I got done high school. That's a long, long time ago, folks, for the Phillies to go out in a place where they normally struggle and have that type of performance. This is nothing to just like, it's early April. It's not something to like shake your head at. That's a big win for these guys. And they don't have it happen without Bryce Harper being vintage Bryce Harper. Now, what did I see different with his swing? Nothing really. I mean, the swing path looked generally the same. The timing, maybe this is him getting back, and we'll see. I felt like the home runs that he had right before leaving Philadelphia to go on this West Coast swing, then another one in Colorado, that's normally a launching pad for Harper to get hot. He didn't have the world's best series in Colorado, but he looked more comfortable at the plate. And you just saw last night in San Francisco, that's maybe not as good as it gets because we've seen him have multi-home run games, but that's about what like the bar is for a great Bryce Harper performance. To do that is maybe not going to silence a lot of people, but it's a reminder of, just like I talked about way back when the World Baseball Classic was going on. You see games like that. You see moments like the home run he hit in the 8th inning against Venezuela for Team USA in the championship game of the WBC. And my reaction is always, this is why you don't doubt this man. Can you critique him? Absolutely. Can you wonder, hey, what is he going to be at this point in his career? Can you say, hey, I understand why Dave Dombrowski feels that way about where Bryce Harper is at right now? Sure. It's valid to have expectations for Bryce Harper and wonder if he can meet that. But to doubt the type of player he is overall is just short-sighted, because this guy is a generational talent. And while he's on the backside now of his career, he is not washed. He does not stink. He is not a guy that can't help the Phillies win ball games. The question is, how much do you need to get out of Bryce Harper in order for this team to go where they want to go? Because last night, while he had a great night, he also had contributions from other guys. It's going to take a team effort. So the question that needs to be answered, and maybe it'll only be answered in October, is what is the line of like a Bryce Harper performance for him to be able to carry this team? What do they need out of him to win consistently? If it's 3 hits a night, they're going to be in for a long year, because the best players in the sport don't have 3 hits in a night. We just talked about batting average on yesterday's show and how only 7 guys hit 300 or above at the major league level last year of qualified hitters. Harper wasn't one of them. So what can the Phillies expect to get, and what do they need to get from him? And that's something that we'll see as some other players in the lineup develop, and what Adolis Garcia is going to be, and Justin Crawford, and is Brandon Marsh going to stay this hot? We'll see. We'll talk about the rookies, like I said, later on in the show. But Bryce Harper having that performance last night has all of Bryce Harper's defenders feeling really chesty today. Like, see, I told you, he is still elite. It has the naysayers being quiet today. I didn't really see any, see, this guy stinks. Don't worry, it's just one game. He's not as good as he showed he was. For me, I'm trying to remain as in the middle as possible. I lean more towards the positive Bryce Harper side. If you've listened to any of my talking points on the Phillies, you should know that about me. But it's still early in the season. It was a nice performance. The one thing that was just like in the moment taking over a game It felt like we hadn't seen that in a while. I honestly don't even have in my head the last time we saw Bryce Harper put the Phillies on his back. And that's something that he, in his early time here in Philadelphia, used to do a good amount. With more talent around him, it's less necessary. But with what this team needs to do to win the World Series, it might be necessary. So a great win for the Phils, a great battle by everybody not to give up at bats, and the game of the year so far for Bryce Harper. But hopefully this isn't the game of the season, because if that is, well, I'll just say the bar is a little bit higher than 2 doubles and a single and 3 RBIs for Harper. But hey, anyone who was worried about the slow start, I think he's going to be just fine. Not every day is going to be like this, but maybe every day is going to be like this for the Phillies bullpen, because the stretch that they've been on lately is another huge reason why the Phils were able to win that game last night. You do not stay in it long enough for Bryce Harper and Alec Bohm to have big 7th inning hits if the bullpen doesn't do what they did. And this is something that they're on a heck of a streak for. A fun stat that you're going to love to hear on the Phillies bullpen in a second as we continue today's episode of Locked On Phillies. And of course, we are part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day, and now the #1 sports podcast network. Let's talk about FanDuel first, though, because the NBA playoffs are here, where every possession matters, every matchup is magnified, and every game can swing a series. And right now, FanDuel's giving new customers a great way to get in on the action. Here's what I love about it. You can bet just $5 and get $250 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. The app makes it super easy to follow the action with player stats and trends and matchups all in one place. And during the playoffs, that extra insight really matters when you're looking at stars, role players, key moments. Who's going to step up for Philly? Are they going to be in the play-in tournament or the actual playoffs? And when they get there, who are the big names that you should be putting your money behind? It's a lot of great questions, and you can answer them however you feel it's going to play out on FanDuel. It just makes the entire playoff experience more engaging from start to finish. So go ahead and check them out. Now, Philly, not great odds to make a deep playoff run. If you believe they're a dangerous team with some really high-level talent, but injuries being a problem, maybe you want to bet them because they have got some long odds, which means you can make a lot of money. Head to FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel. Play your game. Let's talk about the Everydayer Club, too, because it's a great opportunity for you to join in on the Everydayer Club, even on late nights. I was in the Discord last night chatting with Phillies fans, and with baseball back, we're going to celebrate. I'm giving you a full month of the Everydayer Club for free. Go to lockedonphillies.supercast.com and use code FINALLY. You'll unlock every episode ad-free, and like I was talking about, you'll get access to our private listener group chat on Discord. So tap the link in the show notes and use code FINALLY to claim your free month. The Phillies bullpen, man, we talked about this before the season. We were on this, right? Phillies fans saw this. This was the one part of the team. And the rotation, we knew the rotation was going to be good, but it's the same guys. The bullpen's the only part of this team outside of Justin Crawford and Andrew Painter that kind of felt fresh. A full year of Joan Duran. Brad Keller being acquired. What is Jonathan Bowlan going to be? Tanner Banks following up a good year. We'll see how Orion Kirkring bounces back. He hasn't even thrown yet. Jose Alvarado, hopefully not going to get popped for PEDs. You have a different feel to the bullpen this year where it's not the typical run it back part of this roster. And I talked about it before the season. Hey, could they be one of the top bullpens in baseball? I don't know if they'll be the best, but could they be in the top 5? And what does that mean for this team? Well, last night they were absolutely incredible. And they have been for a little bit of a stretch here to start off the season. We'll just run through the guys to give love to from last night's game. Tim Mayza, a clean inning with 1 strikeout. Jonathan Bowlan, a clean inning with 2 strikeouts. Jose Alvarado, a clean inning with a strikeout. Brad Keller did allow a hit, 2 strikeouts, none earned. Joan Duran, another save, 1 hit allowed, no strikeouts, which is funny for him. But you went out and you got 5 scoreless innings from 5 different relievers with only 2 hits allowed from the Phillies bullpen. If you're like, wow, only 2 hits allowed, that's got to be an anomaly. There's a stretch right now going on for this bullpen where opposing batters are hitting They're 3 for their last 46 at-bats against the Philadelphia Phillies bullpen. 3 for their last 46. So let's just do the math on that of what that evens out to average-wise. They're batting 0.65 in this stretch, opponents are, against the Phillies bullpen. That's an unbelievable. They're not going to do that all year. Like that is a stat that will come back to earth a little bit of ways. But for them to be handling this, and the bullpen's going to get better. Say what you want about how Taijuan Walker started the season. If you throw him out there for an inning and he's able to let his stuff play up, we've seen that work for the Phillies in the past. Ryan Kirkring, for all of his struggles last year and the way the season ended, is better than some of the guys you have in the bullpen right now. And you are making this level of hay against opponents. I know I always say early in the season, pitching is ahead of hitting. But as we start to get into the double digits worth of games played, and the Phillies just played their 10th game of the season last night, you start to get to the point where it's like, oh, okay, everyone's starting to get back on even playing field. And this bullpen is dominant. They do not stay in that game without basically a perfect performance from the bullpen. And they got basically a perfect performance from the bullpen. And it saves you. Whereas last year, if you had a starter that went out there and gave you what Andrew Painter gave you last night, and I'm not taking a shot at the kid. We'll talk about him when we do our rookie update in a second. But Painter allows 9 hits in 4 innings, allows 4 earned, walks 1, strikes out 1, doesn't have his best stuff, and the offense is quiet. That could be game over. But for the Phillies bullpen holding San Francisco at 4 for the remainder of the game, that was as big as Bryce Harper's performance at the dish. So who have been the guys that have been the biggest surprises in the bullpen? Because I don't need to tell you how good Joan Duran is. I don't need to tell you why Brad Keller, if you saw what he did in Chicago last year, is a great setup man. And we've seen Jose Alvarado for a while. The number one guy that I'm most impressed with so far is Tim Mayza. Tim Mayza has been really good for the Phillies. I didn't even have him making the team coming out of camp. I thought it was going to be Zach McCambley, the Rule 5 draft pick that you picked up. And he ends up not making the team in favor of Tim Mayza, who does have more major league experience, 34 years old. So he's been around a little bit. But he has pitched in 3 games this year, and he has 3 innings worth of work, 4 strikeouts, none earned. That's as good as you can look. Or sorry, 5 innings worth of work, 7 innings pitched. I was just looking at the last 7 days there. And he's allowed no earned runs in that. 8 strikeouts, 1 walk. I mean, the whip's incredible. Everything about his start to the season has been unreal. And from the left side, as a guy who believes in Kyle Backus a lot, Backus did not have the best start to the season. So you needed somebody to step up in that depth lefty role. I hate to say it, as the leader of the backpack, when Ryan Kirkring and Zach Wheeler come back, you can't bring Tim Mayza out of this bullpen. You can't move him. He's been too good to start. So he has been awesome. And Jonathan Bowlan looks really good. I kind of got into that ahead of the season when we did his preview. Like, his numbers aren't flashy. He doesn't do anything special. He throws the ball hard. But you don't hear about Jonathan Bowlan and say, oh, that's one of the top-end relievers. In fact, like most middle-of-the-pack relievers, when you hear the name Jonathan Bowlan, if he doesn't pitch for your team, you're like, who? I've never heard of that guy. You look at the numbers, and he's just kind of been a really solid arm in his major league career. And for an organization like the Kansas City Royals, who always seem to have strong bullpen options and good pitching, to bring him in for Matt Strahm, a lot of people looked at that as just a clean cash dump for the Philadelphia Phillies to open up other opportunities and to have some change in a bullpen where they thought it was getting a little stale. It seems that it was not just a cash dump. You got a guy back that can throw in the 5th or 6th inning of games. And in scenarios like last night, where you need to get extra innings worth of work, you can throw him out there and you can feel pretty confident that he'll keep you out of danger. It's very early to determine what these guys' seasons are going to be. But when you have a bullpen where you're throwing so many different guys and they've got a 3 for 46 stretch against them, where guys aren't even sniffing batting 100 as a collective. And then you think back to last year and how this team won 96 games with Jordan Romano and Joe Ross being their only offseason bullpen acquisitions, you might realize how big of an impact this is. And the other thing I want you to just think on a little bit here, I'm not absolving the offense remotely. In the postseason, the top guys need to be the top guys. They got to hit. It's the only way they'll win. But David Robertson Matt Strom fiasco in game 1 against the Los Angeles Dodgers last year. The issues against the Mets with the bullpen in 2024. The Craig Kimbrell disaster in Arizona in 2023. Jose Alvarado giving up a home run to Framber Valdez. Why can I not? I've blacked out the memory of who hit the home run in that World Series. Somebody commented for me because I'm having a brain fart right now. Jose Alvarado giving up the home. Yordan Alvarez. I knew it would come to me. Sorry about that. I think that might be some trauma protection there. Every year, my point is, you can look at the bullpen and say, I know it's the offense first, but you guys have got to come up small in October too. And with this bullpen start to the year, it's got me dreaming a little bit of a cleaner end to games in October. Is that enough to make a difference in where the Phillies end up? I don't know. The offense has still got to be better. But is it going to hurt? Absolutely not. So the Phillies bullpen, they're staking their claim as one of the best in baseball early on. Long way to go, but it was something that needed to be brought up. Those guys all deserve their credit for what they're doing as a unit as the Phillies continue to work their way into this season. Now, they've had some rookies this year who are working their way into their career. And last night was a good focal point for both Andrew Painter and Justin Crawford in different ways. I have thoughts on both their performances that we'll get into as we continue today's episode. And now a word from our friends over at Ethos.
Hey, this is Jeff Carr from Locked On Reds, and when it comes to our futures, we all have great ideas when it comes to our job, when it comes to our house, when it comes to our vehicles, all that great stuff. But honestly, when it comes to securing that future, I don't know what I don't know. And when me and my wife sat down to figure out the life insurance thing, Ethos made everything simple. Everything's online, you have a quick and easy application process, and you find out exactly what you need for coverage all in one spot. Ethos makes everything so convenient when it comes to learning about your own life insurance, because insurance is something that is far beyond batting average or on-base percentage. It's way out in left field for me. Ethos made it all easy. Take just 10 minutes and get covered today with life insurance through Ethos. Get your free quote at ethos.com/lockedonmlb. That's ethos.com/lockedonmlb. Application times may vary and rates may vary.
All right. Well, we have got some great stuff for you on the rookies here for the Philadelphia Phillies. Justin Crawford, Andrew Painter. A really interesting night for Painter, who had his first struggle as a Major League Baseball player. I figured that was potentially on the table. San Francisco, a place where the Phillies don't historically play well for whatever reason. It's his first road trip. And of course, it's got to be a West Coast one with time changes and everything. And pitching at Citizens Bank Park in an environment where you know everybody there is dying to watch you throw and do well versus going on the road. And while it wasn't like a loud environment there, it was still just not the home ballpark. I figured there could be some growing pains. Now, I did not think he would give up 4 earned in 4 innings. The biggest issue with Andrew Painter's start last night against the San Francisco Giants, you could see from the pitch count. He threw 90 pitches last night, and 53 of them were strikes. It means that 37 of those were balls. Simple math there. And when nearly 50% or that close to 50% of your pitches are outside of the strike zone, you're getting behind. You just are, naturally. There's no way to look at that other than he wasn't in and around the zone. Well, I won't say around the zone because he had some tight misses. And his stuff still looked good. He didn't get hit around because he didn't have stuff moving the way he wanted it to. He got hit around because, well, he couldn't spot really anything. Had trouble with fastball command, had trouble with the breaking ball, had trouble with the changeup. And with that, at the major league level, these hitters are too good. When they get into advantageous counts against you, they're going to barrel up the baseball. So what does Painter need to do differently? Now, it could have just been like a feel command thing. Everybody has days where they're off. You saw Jesus Luzardo, who just got a major contract with the Philadelphia Phillies, hundreds of millions of dollars, have a bit of an off day in his first start of the year. Then he comes out and he Ks 11. So even the veteran players go through these like ups and downs. But with Painter, I'd like to see him. I don't know if it's an afraid thing, right? I can't speak for what's in the guy's head. But sometimes young pitchers are a little bit worried about getting barreled up. So they nibble to start at bats. The next thing you know, they find themselves down in the count and they have to throw something hittable. And major league hitters are too good for that. He's got to trust that he can get over strikes without people taking him out of the yard or jumping on the first pitch and everything like that. And he did really well with that in his first start. So I really don't think it's a fear thing. I think it's just an understanding of, hey, my stuff is good enough to play at this level. I'm comfortable enough here. Let me attack the strike zone early. If they put it in play early, I got a defense behind me that can make stuff happen. That was the main problem with Andrew Painter. Not something difficult to be fixed. No alarm bells going off. And this is why it was too early to go nuts over the Andrew Painter first career start, because one start is a very small sample size for pitchers. I've seen some really bad pitchers have really good days against the Philadelphia Phillies. Guys that have never pitched at the major league level before, guys that will never pitch at the major league level again. It's baseball. Weird things happen. No panic button on Painter. Just needs to attack the strike zone more. The stuff still looked fine. The velocity was fine. A learning experience for a young player. Now, not every rookie has to go through learning experiences the same way. Justin Crawford does not seem like he's starting off his season going through the typical rookie struggles. He had another 2-hit night last night. And I saw a bunch of people continuing to beat the drum of who cares about his exit velocity or his launch angle or all of this stuff, his ground ball rate. Like, I'm so done with that. I have been done with it even before the season started. I'm like, this feels like the world's dumbest argument to me. This is 2026 baseball versus what baseball should be. 2026 baseball would tell you, we don't know how this kid's going to play at the major league level because he hits the ball on the ground too much. And I know he hit over 300 for 3 straight seasons of professional baseball, but the defense is better at this level, so those won't all be hit. Folks, if he gets on base, I don't care how he gets on base. He's not here to hit the ball out of the ballpark. He is not here to drive the ball into the gap. Justin Crawford is here to set the table for the top of the order. And he's been doing an exceptional job of that this year. And what's really impressive about him is he doesn't just have one swing. You'll see that even with veteran players sometimes when they get into maybe a bit of a rut or even it can be a slump time. It could be a good time or a bad time. But some guys just have one swing where it's like, hey, I can hit the ball pretty consistently in this spot to the pull side, and I like to lift the ball. Crawford is putting it left, right, center, all over the place. He's taking the pitches where they are. He hit one the other way last night. That was a really good barrel percentage for him to start the year too. He barreled that one up, and it was right down the left field line for a double. It wasn't a pitch that was anywhere near the middle of the zone, but he's not trying to do too much at the plate. He's hitting .355 to start the year. Very early. But that is the highest qualified batting average for anybody on the Philadelphia Phillies. And that's about as good as it gets for a kid starting his major league career. And I know I said he just needs to be league average. And I'm going to continue to stick to that until he forces me to accept that it's going to be better. But the 270 to 275, I thought was a great year for him. That's enough. When do we start having the conversation about 285 to 290? How long do we have to wait till we start having the conversation about 290 to 300? That'll be well over a month into the season before I start to consider that. And even then, it will only be a consideration. But this kid's the real freaking deal at the plate, Justin Crawford. And he is the best contact hitter outside of Trey Turner on this baseball team. And he has played 9 career games because he sat one. That's your everyday center fielder. It's not even a debate anymore at this point. It's not even a thought. And if Rob Thompson sits him again, other than just getting him rest, fireable offense? Like, no, but tongue-in-cheek, kind of half kidding, half not kidding. Yes. Like, this kid very much belongs, and he has had a dream start to his major league career, and he's had big hits. The walk-off winner in the comeback against the Washington Nationals in the final series here at the bank before they went on this West Coast swing. Like, if there's a guy to be most excited about position player-wise this year, it's Justin Crawford, and I don't know who else would even be close. Unless you're going to go with Brandon Marsh, who's been here for a while, it's the rookie. And the dynamic he adds to this lineup, if he can continue to do this, is a game changer. So one bad night for a rookie in Andrew Painter, but not something we're concerned about. One strong night for a rookie, but not something we're surprised about at this point because all Justin Crawford does is collect hits. You got some young talent here in Philadelphia, and they continue to win ball games. Tonight, Christopher Sanchez on the mound against Robbie Ray, another 9:45 p.m. first pitch. I'll be up doing a pregame video for you, a postgame video for you on socials, and I'll be in the Discord chatting with everybody who are members of our Everydayer Club. So drink your coffee or get that nap in. The Phils go for the series win against the San Francisco Giants tonight. And Sanchez, another chance to take a step towards NL Cy Young. We're going to be on that watch for him all year. I don't care if it's early. So we will break down that game and hopefully be talking about a series win and everything that goes on with it on tomorrow's episode of Locked On Phillies. I do just want to remind you, if you're checking us out in podcast form and just listening, we're available wherever you get your podcasts. I'd love it if you could rate and review. And if you're watching on YouTube, hit that subscribe button. It's free and easy to subscribe. Costs you nothing. It takes like 2 seconds. But it'll get you notifications when new episodes are posted, and it really helps us out as well and helps our content reach more people when you do that. So rate, review, subscribe, as you hear everybody on YouTube always say, and I appreciate you checking us out. We'll talk tomorrow on the next episode of Locked On Phillies.